What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building for another special edition of the show on today, where we are talking about the HBCU family. Is it actually an HBCU family? Are we really supporting each other? And are we really supporting our student content creators that are going to one day like run the world? Like, are y'all really showing them love before they really take off? And I had to bring the TikTok superstar going viral everywhere. He has a viral post on HBCU Pulse right now as we record this. It got like 9,000 likes, 100,000 views. Texas Southern student, Fax.Koolaid in the building. How you doing today, man?
What's good, boss? Y'all right? Always a pleasure to see you, bro.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, you already was popping, but then we put the video up on HBCU Pulse, and it's going crazy. So I gotta ask you first and foremost, like, you already got success. So this might be like, man, this is what it is. This is just another day. But like, how does it feel to have that video going crazy?
It's funny because like when I travel from HBCU to HBCU, that video about the 60-man homecoming rule, which is very accurate, by the way, that video is probably one of the ones that get talked about like the most, especially when it comes to fellas. Fellas, like when I was at Tennessee State the other week, and I'm not going to talk too long on it, but when I was at Tennessee State for my homecoming tour, so many dudes came up to me and was like, bro, is 60 dudes really going to talk to my girl? And I said, is that your actual girl, or are you just calling her your girl? And they was like, no, she's not my girlfriend. I was like, oh, well, yeah, 60, at least 60, bro. It's very accurate. I mean, the dudes are very scared. But that video, is doing good. So we thank God for that. But it's true, though. At least 60 dudes, at least.
For sure, for sure. We're gonna have to really break that down. We do a relationship specific episode for sure. Like we're gonna have to do that next. But listen, so what we're talking about today is the HBCU family and support for student creators. So I wanted to center the conversation in this question. Are HBCUs really a family? Because we know in the Black community, we're very family oriented. Like even within our culture, we say, hey, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my uncle, that's auntie. Like that's a big portion of Black culture, right? But within the HBCU community, we say we're building these bonds and these connections and we're family, but are we really family? And I want to bring it up in this context, right? You have folks that are making things happen. You got folks that have podcasts. You have folks that's writing articles, doing sports broadcasting on TikTok, all these different things. They're dancing, they're doing all these creative endeavors. But I've heard a lot of students and even alumni talk about how they've not really been supported for those endeavors. So is that really a family if you're not supporting your people? So let's start with this question for you, Fax.Koolaid. Are HBCUs really a family?
Are HBCUs really a family? I'm going to answer your question in the most extra way possible. You know how, for instance, we all got siblings, right? I got siblings, right? Siblings fight all the time. Like you go into somebody's household and you see siblings, they fighting, they never say nothing good about each other, they hating on each other. But let somebody outside of that family talk about anybody in that family. Watch them come together, defend one another, ready to go to war behind it. Are HBCUs a family? Yes. But do we see it a lot? No, unless somebody from the outside attacks HBCUs. That's when y'all come together. You know what I'm saying? I see a whole lot of NCAT and Central beef going on. I see a whole lot of TSU and PV beef going on. But let somebody from the outside, let somebody from UH talk about PV and TSU. Watch how hard we come for their neck. Watch a school like North Carolina, UNC, come for NCAT and Central. Now they're going to collab with each other and, you know what I'm saying, combine to show love. I think HBCUs are a family, but it's so much, you will never see it because it's like a playful beef. I don't know what it is, but it's really playful, but I'd say yeah, but at the same time, there aren't a lot of traces that can support that we're a family, like inside, like from the inside looking in, from the inside. It's not a whole lot of things that can really support that the HBCU land and culture is really a family like that. What do you think, though? What do you think, though?
See, here's what I think. Okay, for me, here's how I look at the family dynamic, because there's situations where you don't rock with your cousins. Like I got cousins I don't talk to. You know what I'm saying? Like my family got people that they don't talk to in their family. But how I look at the family element is that if you're in this family, we're gonna show you love. We're gonna support you. You're always gonna be good. I know from my personal experience, not every experience was like this, but I know from my personal experience that there's been moments where that has not been true. Like there's been moments where I didn't feel supported. There have been moments where I didn't feel as if folks really rock with me. There were moments where I felt as if it was a lot of excessive criticism and people didn't really see my point of view when it came to the transaction and all these different things. But when I went to other schools, which is outside the family, and it's even in the HBCU ecosystem, oh, they love HBCU posts. They love Randall on that ascension. They looking up to me. They're like, oh man, like we're really rocking. That's why for me, I'm like, are we really a family? We can be, but this whole entire notion that we're just this family that supports and we always gonna be here. No, y'all not. We got beef, we got issues, all these different things. We have different ideologies on how to change the school, ideologies on how to promote the school. We're not really a family, because what is a family at its onset? Your family supports you through the good and the bad. But I gotta go outside the family to get that love. And that's not all the time. And that wasn't all the time when I was a student and building HBCU posts. But I think that's something that's very prevalent.
No, you're right. I ain't gonna lie. No, you're literally you took all the words out of my mouth. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like the fact that you gotta go outside, like not to put my own school like on the spot or nothing, but like let's say for instance TSU, it was a few things I wanted to do at TSU, music wise. I wanted to. I know a lot of like cats in the city that play music or whatever. I wanted us to, be able to play live in front of the students for a certain event. They didn't let us do it. For what reason? We don't know. They didn't let us do it. So then somebody at University of Houston right across the street, they heard about what we was trying to do and they was like, bro, we would literally pay y'all to do that. Like, literally. It's like, why do I got to go outside? If we're supposed to be a family, because now I'm talking about at individual schools now. Forget from across school for like school to right now, but I'm talking about individual schools. Why should I have to go outside of my own school to get support for an idea that I have? Like that's the part that kills me when it comes to HBCUs. Why do I have to be of a certain stat? Do I gotta hold a position on campus just to get major support? Like it's really sad. It's sad. Not gonna lie to you. So yeah, everything you said was completely factual. Completely factual.
So let's go that way then, because I like what you said about, do you have to hold a certain position on your campus to really get love? I mean, listen, we're gonna keep it real today, right? So I think that often within the political ecosystem of campus life at an HBCU, there are tiers of student leadership. And I think that within that first tier, you have your SGA officials, you got the folks that are in CAB, the folks that are Greek, sort of the popular people. Now you have to factor in the folks that are popping on TikTok, Instagram, all these different things. I do believe, especially, and also orientation leaders. People don't talk about that enough. I was orientation leader for 4 years. Orientation leaders as well, leading the freshmen in. I feel as if, because I was in that group in a way, we are exalted, right? Like the administration knows us. There are freshmen that know us. There are people on campus that know us. There's expectation of how we move and what we can do. But I think the quote unquote regular student, the student that is not in their room all the time, but they just go to class, they might not be going to every SGA meeting. They might come to an on-campus function or what have you, do some other things, but they're not saying, hey, this is the issue on campus that I'm going to use my platform to address. They're often overlooked. And I know within my student advocacy, there was a lot of times where there were a lot of students that really felt as if, hey, I'm not this big student leader. I'm not doing all stuff you're doing. I'm not involved in all these different organizations. They felt slighted. They felt as if their experience wasn't being heard. And I think that that's something that as an HBCU community and an HBCU family, we have to really address. So I got to ask you this. So do you think that that is a real thing? Or do you think, like how in my experience I saw, is there like a tier system in your opinion? And I want to ask this too. Like you Fax.Koolaid, you know what I'm saying? Like you got all these TikTok followers, you go on all these different events, you go on to these different schools, and they know who you are. Do you feel like you're in that tier system where like, hey, like people see me and they rocking with me on your campus?
Like as far as when you say people rock with me, you talking about the students or like the higher ups, like the staff and the overseers and all these things? You talking about like students
So
or
I'm talking about students because like I know that when it comes to when you're really making it happen and you got followers and you with celebrities, you like you had JR from All American on campus with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that level of clout, that level of pull. With that comes like a hey, what's up? How you doing? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like sometimes it's not genuine because they respect the clout, but they might not know or respect who you are outside of
Oh,
Fax.Koolaid. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah. It's rarely genuine. It's rarely genuine. Do you know how many times? And this is not a violin sad moment or whatever, but you know how many times I get approached by somebody that I know was just talking about me behind my back like a few weeks ago or a few months ago. Like I always, I made a video about this. You know what I'm saying? Many people at your own school will not support what you got going on, of course, unless you just close with them. You know what I'm saying? But every day on campus, I'm fully aware that the person I'm dabbing up or the person that's saying, "Hey, Kool-Aid," has talked trash about me in the past. Like you'll be shocked how many times, man. Look, this is just some real life stuff that goes on, bro. Like so many people. Hey Kool-Aid. And I'm not the only person. I'm not the only person. I know folks who get told hey by people knowing that that person that said hey to them has said so much nonsense about them. But you know what I'm saying? Of course, it's gonna come with a few genuine people. You know what I'm saying? Like in my case, it's usually like the freshmen or sophomores that knew me before they got to TSU, you know, as just Fax.Koolaid. It's genuine with them, but so many people like you wasn't cool with boys before boys started doing semi big things. Now it's hey, like I know what you said about me in the past. Like I know it's not genuine. So yeah, that definitely comes with it. Even with and I can defend some people in these high positions, such as people who are Greek and people in like royal court. Like you'll be surprised how many people was talking down on folks before they were Greek. Then they got Greek, and now you feel like you got to give them a certain type of like respect. Now you don't want to be mean to them. You don't want to rub people the wrong way. You don't like that person, but now because of their position, you want to act two faced. HBCU has a lot of two faced love, a lot of two faced love, and I hate it, but that's what it is.
I feel that.
It's what
So
it is.
you know, I told you last episode my favorite rapper is Big Crit, right?
Mhm.
His real name is Justin Scott, right? And when I was at Fort Valley, ironically, my favorite year, 2017, 2018, that October, he released his double album, Forever's a Mighty Long Time. And he had a song and he had the Big Crit side. I was the lit music. He in his bag with the trap, like, you know, type stuff and really talking for real. And he had his Justin Scott side that was more vulnerable. And he had a song called Price of Fame. And there was one lyric in it that really spoke to me because I feel like it illustrated how I felt in certain elements. He said, Justin Scott trapped this Big Crit screaming, it's really me. Because I think that often we're like a lot of people get caught up in the persona. They get caught up in hey, like that's random. Because when I came in, like I had written books. Like my second book came out my freshman year. I had a book contract. So a lot of folks knew me as, hey, that's the boy that wrote books. Then I become this orientation leader, and I led with, hey, I write books. That was just the thing that I did. And there was a lot of clout that I wasn't really expecting from everybody. And I felt it as if a lot of times, I think it even has made its way into my alumni life, is they knew me as that's Randall that be on social media. That's Randall that be writing books. That's Randall that's commentating the basketball games. But did they really get a chance to know the Randall beyond all of that? Because I'm not my accomplishments. I'm not what I do. And I feel like from there, it's like, yeah, like you see me working because, oh, I'm going to work regardless. But are you really becoming a friend with me? Are you really connecting with me? So, like, do you think that in this journey of you growing Fax.Koolaid and your podcast and the brand, like, do you really think that you're connecting with people in that genuine fashion, or do you think they're connecting with the TikTok superstar?
No, it's not genuine. I don't believe most people to be genuine. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and this is somebody who could be genuine for sure because she knew me before all the semi success and all that. She told me she was like, you know, Kool-Aid, I've been knowing you for this long, but I really don't know you. Like I've been knowing you for about 3 years, but I only know of you. Like I only know the persona of you, but we've never actually sat down and had a real conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't really tell you anything about you that somebody who looks on your Instagram can't also tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever I know about you is what the average person was what the average stranger can say about you. We don't really know each other. That was what she was really saying, and it really made me think. I was wondering, like, wow, I wonder why that is. but it's because so many people are not genuine with their intentions. So it's like, to want to let people in is not something that you're just open to like doing once you see that like success is on the horizon. I've always said about myself, do I feel like I'm big now? For sure, no. But do I feel like I'm one of the ones that's next up? Most definitely. You'll be surprised how many people, even your haters, believe that you're next up more than you even do. So because of that, they try to, be a little nicer. They try to talk to you a little more. That happens. That happens all the time. So I feel like the connections that I make, especially at my school, knowing some of the personal things I've been through at this school, I believe a great majority of them are not genuine. They're not. But the thing about it, when you know how to read people, when you have good discernment, which I feel like I do, you could tell which ones are genuine and which ones are not.
That's
You could
real.
tell for the most part.
Yeah, I felt like I was the same way, but sometimes I got caught up for sure, and I think that
Nobody's perfect.
one thing I got caught up in, and you know what's so funny it's this thing of like when folks come to college. This is what people often say is when folks come to college and they get a little bit of love, they get into student leadership, and they say for a lot of guys, oh, they go Greek in this position. It gets to their head because they were lame before they got to college. I can assure you, I was never lame. I was never lame.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you how much I'm telling the truth. My book came out my senior year. And when I tell you, like, from 11th grade to 12th grade, how much pull I had at my high school and in my city, like when my book came out, because it was a black man doing something positive. Like that's always gonna get love, especially when it's like, oh, a book, like people see and hear a book, that's money, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it was always love that I was getting even going into college. Now, college, it was a different type of love, but as I really got that success, I started to really be like, I'm this campus celebrity. I'm this guy. And I started really to believe my own hype. And then once I started to deal with people, with women I was encountering that were even coming up to me, like, hell yeah, like, I wanted to meet you. XYZ. I started to believe my own hype. And that's where like the hurt came from to me, because it's like, oh, like I thought I was this guy and these folks really were looking at me in this way, like, man, he cool, he doing all this and that. But no, man, they don't really rock with me. They rock with a perception of me. They rock with this image, but they don't rock with me from a deeper level. And I think that that's something that a lot of creatives go through. And I think that's men and women that are on campus. So I want to walk back the conversation a bit, because I want to talk about, like, what does support mean? Like, for someone that is in this stature, that's grinding, that's making it happen, what does support mean? And I'll start with like what I think support means. For me, I was making it happen. I mean, I didn't really need anybody to share my stuff. I mean, if you share, you share. If you don't, you don't. If you buy my book, that'd be great. If you don't, man, whatever. I'm getting the degree regardless. But I wanted more of a intrapersonal relationship with people, because I was almost in this glass. I was a fish almost. I'm in this bowl. People look. I'm like at the aquarium. I'm like a shark. Okay, I'm at the aquarium and people just there. They looking, they touching the glass, but I feel like I wasn't really connecting with a lot of people. And those genuine moments did mean a lot. And I feel like I didn't really get the opportunity, because I was this big campus celebrity, quote unquote, really to build connections that will be substantive now that we're out of college and we're not seeing each other in the student center or at an event. I wish I had more of that support when I was that campus celebrity, on campus person. So I want to ask you, for all the things that you're doing on campus and all the work that you're doing in growing your media brand, what does support look like to you from a work element or even a personal element?
Support, it's it's a whole lot of the problems with support now. The reason why people don't support, it could be a few reasons, and I'll go into what support means to me after I really like break this down. You got ego and you got pride. It's, for instance, and this is and I'm very strategic with everything I do on social media. Ever since I started dropping my podcast clips in June, all the way until now, it's October. What's today? It's October 16th.
October the
right?
18th. October the 18th was recording this, yeah.
Okay, so boom, October 18th, right? Ever since June, I've always paid attention to which one of my followers at my school have not liked a single podcast clip on my Instagram, right? So if you haven't liked a single clip from June to October, yet you follow me and you watch my story, I'm led to believe it's becoming a choice for you to just not like my stuff anytime it comes up. Now it's either your ego or your pride. Either you don't want to be somebody that's in my likes because you feel like that makes you look bad. You don't want people to see you in my likes. That's a pride thing. You don't want to repost my stuff because you don't want to sound, you don't want to feel like you're glazing. That's a new word that we all use now. You don't want to look like you glazing. Pride and ego, bro. Like that's why people are not getting supported nowadays. And now what support means to me is just really doing all that you can in your power to help somebody without caring about what other people think. That's what support is to me. I have this thing like this like subdivision of my little like you know what I'm saying Fax.Koolaid scheme. I call it the Factory. The Factory is my group of like a few people who I can ask to help me basically whenever I need. I'm not gonna ask for a lot, but to do the little things like maybe repost my stuff or you know what I'm saying, just go watch it. Little things like that. There's only a few people in there. It's only a few people in there. Now I have a lot of quote unquote supporters, but I know it's only a little people in that factory, in my little group of people that I know will support me, and that's because I know they have no ego issues, they have no pride issues, they don't care what people think. They really just want to support. They just want to support, and those are going to be the people that when I do get famous, they're going to get a lot of the riches that I get. Like I know people that have been genuinely liking my stuff that have been genuinely support. You know when somebody's genuinely supporting you, and you know when somebody's trying to fake it. You a real one can tell the difference. So I feel like support to me is somebody who doesn't mind, really. And it's so man, because I struggle with that at my school, trying to find real supporters, not just people who don't want to be on my bad side, because there's a whole lot of that. Just people who are just being nice just to not get it on your bad side, but people that actually care, that support, like it's not a lot. So support to me, anybody who's just willing to do what makes you happy for their brand, like that's willing to help you without caring about what other people think.
For me, what was interesting in what you said about like people that want to get on your bad side of different things like that. I had this perception when I was at Fort Valley for certain people, and I would say this probably sophomore year, junior year, because junior year, oh man, junior 2017, 2018. Like how they say LeBron was in his prime. I was in my prime, bro. Like because when I saw the video where I think outside the video we posted on Pulse, I think last year, the video that I saw, I was like, yo, this guy for real. This the guy right here is the one you talk about. You brought JR on campus and you went to campus police and they weren't rocking because they didn't know who he was. They didn't know he's for All-American Homecoming. And so it was so funny because I thought back to my time, and when BET's The Quad was out, I brought The Quad to campus. Like I brought Jake Allen, who played Bojan Folsom. I brought Miles Stroder, who played Junior, and I brought Sergio Joakim, who played, I forgot, I'm not gonna like if he ever sees this, he'll probably get mad at me. I forgot what character. No, Tavarius. I always forgot what character. Tavarius. And then my guy, Justin Scott, not Big Crit. His name is also Justin Scott, like this guy. Like, that was my homeboy. He was an extra. He was a former football player, like super duper toss. Like, he played an extra on BET. So like we literally worked together. He's on set saying, y'all come to Fort Valley. And then I was working with Jake trying to bring him down. And they came down off love. They drove down in their own car. They drove down for free. We didn't have to pay them nothing, and they really wanted to kick it on campus. And a lot of people, because I was trying to do a campaign, and I was being a little bit. I was doing a little bit much, okay, in my campaign, but like it ultimately worked, and people were trashing me. They're like, "Why is this guy?" Because I was doing this thing where I was comparing the fictional school of Georgia A&M University to Fort Valley, right? And essentially, like, people were like, "Why is he doing that? What's wrong with him?" Like, it was a shady alumni Facebook post that was like, "What's wrong with this man?" They were going in on me, and it really hurt me. But then I brought The Quad to campus, and then like they were like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta meet you when I come to homecoming." I was like,
What changed? What changed?
What shade? The fact that you saw that I wasn't playing, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like oftentimes people want to see results. Like, they want to see like, hey, like, what are you really about and what do you really do? And I feel like that's the thing that befalls us as like creatives and people that are making it happen. Because I feel like this is almost like a trust issue of like, oh, like if you're saying you're gonna do this, or you're moving like this, or you're talking like this, do I really trust you're gonna do it, or do I trust that like you're really about it? And I feel like that's what we have to. We also have to prove it. You know what I mean? So like do you feel that way? Where it's like for certain people to really like support you, do you feel as if they want you to prove it? They want to see that success. Like they want to see you do what you do. Or I'll even bring this in. Do they want to see you operating within the service of your HBCU on their terms? Because I got that a lot with HBCU posts where it's like, well, you're not posting Fort Valley anymore. I'm like, I brought celebrities to Fort Valley. I went to the White House representing Fort Valley. Like what more can I do for Fort Valley? Can this guy at Fort Valley grow this brand that's uplifting HBCUs and grow where I'm going after I graduate? It's like have you dealt with having to prove it to folks at TSU?
Me personally, I don't care to prove nothing to anybody. Now, it's people that for sure want me to, but who are you? Like, it's kind of just like I'd be going out of my way. I'd be focusing on things that aren't important to me just to prove to you that I could be special. Like, what type of my mom would smack me for trying to do that? What? Like, nah. So nah, I'm not experiencing that much anymore. For sure, no. Mm-mm. No.
I feel that.
No.
I feel that.
No. It's not even a lot. It's not even anything to really elaborate on. Just no.
I feel that. Trust me, I feel that. Like that was something that, man, that befell me because, like, you know, when, like, for me, I love Fort Valley. Like Fort Valley made me what I was because I felt as if when I was coming in, I was like, I'm gonna be successful. Like I got a book like before I got to college. Like there's like adults that want to write a book, and I've written like two. And like I got a book contract, and I'm like 16, you know, so I was 17 at the time when I got a book contract. But I'm 17. So like no matter where I went, I felt like I was going to be successful. But there was a specificity to Fort Valley that made me successful. My professors, I think the support I did get, I think those experiences of being in student leadership, it built this. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that student leadership journey. So like it made me what I was, and I was fearlessly promoting Fort Valley. I'm getting into Twitter beefs, all this different stuff over Fort Valley. And it's like when Pulse pops up and other schools really started, you know, to get that traction, and like we started to get the traction from other schools and people started to really support it. It was a proven element of, are you really putting on Fort Valley? Like, oh, like who were doing takeovers? Would people take over the story? And it was a lot of schools that were like, can we take over? Because they saw the platform in which was growing and what we were doing. And there were folks that were at Fort Valley that would were dead upset at me when I was like, hey, like y'all can, like, because they asked, can we take over the page? Yeah, of course. Why would I tell y'all no? Like, do y'all want to do this day? They were like, one day? Why can't we take it over for a week? I'm like, because Howard wants to take it over. Texas Southern wants to take it over. So what you're telling me is tell Miss Howard University, no, you can't take over because Fort Valley want to take over. Like that don't make any sense when I got some bigger plan for us because I'm here. I got some way bigger plan for us because how am I not going to cover this experience if I'm here and I'm on campus and I got a phone? You know what I mean? So like that was sort of what I dealt with, was like, prove it. Oh, you really were for Fort Valley? Prove it. And it was taxing, man. Like it was mentally taxing because it's like, I'm here. You know what I mean? But like that, I feel like that's something that a lot of folks go through, is sort of that level of like proving it and really having to deal with people that aren't genuine. But let's talk to the people that aren't at the level that they feel that they're at yet, and they feel as if they're not being seen. What is your advice to them? Because I personally believe you're like a big deal, man. Like you're doing your thing. So it's like you really out here making it happen. So like, what is like your advice to folks that's trying to make it happen themselves, and they feel like maybe their campus community isn't showing, or their campus family isn't showing them the love they need to be truly successful?
Man, look, I always mention to people, man, back in the ancient times where people had to go find land, they didn't have no internet, they didn't have no phone. We come from a lineage of human beings that back when we didn't have any of this fancy stuff, they had to make stuff happen. Okay, you gotta make it happen. Like you gotta find some way to get it on your own. When it came to me and my podcast and stuff, I always tell people I waited a year before I dropped my podcast show. Because in that year, I said, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do everything myself. This is not gonna take 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. I gotta learn how to do everything on a near perfect level. Then I'm gonna know how to do it. I'm gonna get it myself. I always tell people one thing I take pride in. I don't have a lot of pride, but one thing I do take pride in. I pat myself on the back. Everything I do with my show, or everything, all things technology, even this right now, this mic, the camera that's in my room, everything I got, I learned how to do my own self. Because people would not want to help you. People would not, especially once you make it, like people would not want to help you. So my thing is, for anybody that has ideas and they're not getting supported, you got to find some way to make it happen. Nothing is impossible at all. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find some way to make it happen. And my another big advice I tell people: connections are everything. Try to meet as many people as possible, because when you know a lot of people, then that also raises your value. When you can go into a room and everybody knows who you are, like, yeah, of course not everybody is gonna know who you are, but it's like you have to stay down, get connections, but you have to learn how to do everything yourself. You got to get it out the mud some way, somehow. Stay motivated. Like, that's really what it has to be. Like, you should want it so bad, like, to the point where you're thinking of crazy ways to get what you need to get, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get it. Like, with me, I'm very big on finding some way to do it, especially as a man. You got to find a way to conquer all this, all your like disadvantages. Find a way to make it happen. Like, that's what it is.
That's real. So let me ask you this when it comes to the level of success in the support. So I think that for us, we all have the vision of where we want to be and what that support means to us. But I want to actually like ask you, like, because you say you're not there yet, right? So like, what is your perception of the height of your success, or where you know, like, hey, I really made it? Because I know for Paul's, when I was at Fort Valley, fall 2019, I graduated fall 2019. What I wanted for Pulse was I wanted us to be like the biggest HBCU platform. And sometimes you got to be realistic with yourself. Like, we didn't start in 2012. You have outlets that started 2012, started 2011. There were outlets that started in like the 90s, like when I was 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know if we get to that pinnacle of success. Maybe that's something that's far-fetched, but what's somewhere realistic goal for me? So I wanted to scale HBCU Pulse as a media company. I wanted podcasts, I wanted the ambassadors, I wanted to I actually published the book through HBCU Pulse, like doing that as a self-publishing imprint, but I want to do more of that. Want to one day get authors, want to grow the digital footprint. And I had that going. I didn't know the Clutch Points, partnership would happen the way that it did, where it expanded our capacities and allowed me to really do this as a full-time job. But I had the goals of what I wanted this to be. And I feel as if, looking at the journey, man, it happened, and I think that's because there was a defined goal. And even with or without that success, I was able to get to it. So like in your opinion, where you are now, like what does success look like for you? Like, is it radio? Is it biggest podcast in the world? Is it podcast tour? Is it hosting comedy shows? Like what is the success measure for you where like, yo, I finally made it?
I mean, I can answer that in a plethora of, in a plethora of ways. You could one could argue financial independence, financial stability. One could argue influence. One could argue followers. One could argue literally it could be anything. But for me personally, as somebody who has many different talents, I thank God every day for giving me all these talents that I have. Being able to be financially stable from all the talents that I have. Again, I always mention there's two pianos in the back of my room. Everybody always sees it. Just to let people know, like, okay, he don't just do this. Like, he got something else. I want to create my own different avenue. To be somebody who's a influencer, does a podcast, does the radio, does the news, because I do the news as well, professional news. Then he's also a professional musician, torrent. Like, it's not many people. Once it's obvious that I created my own route, then that's when like, I don't know. Okay, Fax.Koolaid, you made it. Like, you made it, because now people understand that you're literally a jack of many trades. Like, and that's what I never want to be multifaceted. I feel like if I'm successful in my podcast and radio space, but I'm not doing my thing in music, I'm not doing my thing in the news, in journalism, in everything, that's not success to me. If I'm doing my thing in music, but the radio podcast and stuff isn't working, that's not success to me. And I know it's possible. So just being different, that's really what it is. I always tell people, me and my partners, especially me, I'm addicted to the thought of not being ordinary. Like that's what it is. I don't want to be regular. That doesn't mean I want to be famous. And I mean I just want to be, you know what I'm saying, Jay-Z level famous, Beyonce level famous, but to be known as somebody who's different, because everything will reflect. Your aura is going to reflect. Social media platforms is going to reflect. Your finances will reflect it. Like your energy will reflect when people understand that you're a different breed. That's really what it is to be a different breed. That's what it is to me.
That's real. I like that. So let's pivot to this before we go.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been times where you have folks that have become successful and they've either graduated from the institution or they went there and they moved on to their success journey and they got that level of acclaim they were looking for. And especially like they got a level of acclaim, they're on a TV show or they on a radio show or what have you. And they moved on from the institution and they're doing their thing. And there's folks that are calling back to them like, hey, come back and host this show. Come back and help us do this concert. Come back and perform at this concert. Come back and do this and that. Come back and talk to these students. And those folks, I'm not calling any names. I'm just saying that this has often happened. Those folks are like, no, no, I'm not coming back. Nuh-uh. Because y'all, like when I was there, y'all did not do what y'all needed to do with me and y'all did not support me. There's a conversation within the HBCU community about if that is right, because it's two different sides of it. That's very valid, that if you did not have a good experience, that you're not indebted, and that makes sense, and we should support our people while they're here and not when they just take off. But there's this other side of it that's like, first and foremost, HBCUs are our community, and although things were bad for you, and it sounds crazy, I'm not about to say it, but although things are bad for you, like this bigger than you. Like there's students here that you can help. There's students here that didn't do nothing to you. And then like you should want to give back to the place that you went because it's bigger than you. And that's not necessarily always the argument, but it's arguments in the vein of like that's wrong and that's petty if you not wanting to come back, especially if the argument is that, oh, I didn't get support. So like, what do you think about that argument when it comes to successful alumni? If that were the case, that people are talking about that alumni not showing love or not support, not showing up.
If your institution did not support you the way you feel like they should have, you have every single right to return that energy when you blow up and get big after you graduate. Period. I 100% stand on that. TSU, love TSU, go Tigers. They not getting all the support from me when I graduate. I take a lot of things into account. I always tell people I'm not a psycho, but I do recall and sometimes a lot of times write down the BS that happens to me. And anytime something didn't go my way drastically terribly, like to the point where, okay, y'all just didn't believe in me. Like y'all just didn't think, y'all just really just shoved me to the side. If you're somebody at your school, anybody that's listening, and you know you're gonna be big after you graduate, when you after you graduate, don't take it lightly. Don't take it lightly, the disrespect that your school put on you. When I come back, I'm not doing nothing for free. I'm doing barely anything out of the kindness of my heart, unless it's a professor that that looked out for me, as in the professor that taught me how to work all these mics and all these softwares. Yeah, they can get anything from me. They support it. They sowed that seed into my future. But like, if I see nothing wrong with that. If you knew that you had potential, because it's a lot of wasted potential at all these schools. It's so many students that have so many great ideas, but they don't get listened to because of their status on campus. Maybe they're not a top SGA. Maybe they're not Greek. Maybe they're not Royal Court. And because of that, their ideas, their organizations, they get shoved to the dirt. And it's crazy because I ain't never tried to bring up an idea like as far as the org, but I know so many people that have. And because of their status, because I ain't gonna lie, man, HBCU, even the staff can be messy. There's a lot of talk that goes on behind closed doors. A lot of people are getting screwed out of many great ideas, which directly hurts their path and their potential in their future. So if you knew that you had that, and once you graduate, it works out, I have no problem with you being like, well, y'all didn't show me any support, so I'm gonna go support this school and not y'all. Like, it's so many things I've done for other HBCUs that I have not done for Texas University. Like, and that's just, you know what I'm saying? No hard feelings, but I just remember. And I don't take it lightly, and I don't forget it. So no problem with it at all. At all. At
That's
all.
real. So, do you think that there is a way between now and the time you graduate to mend that? Because I asked that because that's actually something that I tried to do when I was a student. So for me, I was trying because I had heard of a relationship with a successful alumni in the music industry when I was at Fort Valley that was frayed for whatever reason. And that was frayed. That was like he wasn't really rocking with, with us. And I understood why, because I heard the stories. So I was like, okay, let me in my own way, because you don't gotta be for me. let me talk to him. Let me talk to the manager. And it was my mission. Oh my God, it was my mission. My sophomore year, my mission, my first semester when I was in SGA was I'm going to mend this relationship, and he is going to come because we wanted a concert so bad. He gonna come, he gonna do this concert. He gonna make it happen. And I wasn't able to do it, but like I really made that concession in my mind. I was like, if I was like SGA president or something like that, because that was something that was like a lot of people wanted me to run for, and I didn't run for it. But like maybe that's something that if I would have run to SGA president, now I'm in an official capacity, an official position, in a position of power in which I'm able to institute mending that fence. And I know that in other places, like there's been situations where the fence has been mended. Like let's say, things are the way they are, and you move on, and like you move on, and you are the Fax.Koolaid we know you're gonna be, like biggest personality in the culture, right? And like the SGA president like comes to you and they DM you, or you let me pay, I'm all right, let me paint the picture. You are at the BET Awards on the red carpet, okay? And this SGA president for Texas Southern is there, and they know you at Texas Southern, and you like, man, it is what it is. I'm doing my thing. And they come and say, hey, can I connect with you? And then y'all have a Zoom meeting, and then like you sort of lay out your grievances, how things were, and he or she says, listen, I apologize that happened. We really rock with you. It's a lot of folks at MassCom that are inspired by you, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do in my power as SGA president to make sure you're good, right? Would the fence be mended, or would it be like, thank you, but no, see you later? Like,
one thing about myself, and this is just, this is how God made me, man. As a proud and unapologetic Christian boy, we're supposed to forgive and forget. Now, I struggle in forgetting, but unfortunately, I tend to be forgiving, especially if, you know, back when I was real beefed up with my school, which was when I was a junior, because somebody made a random, I don't know who it was, but on an anonymous app, somebody made up a very cruel and horrific rumor about me. So when that happened, like my reputation got shifted a lot, and that was before I started pop blowing on social media. So now fast forward 2 years later, because I'm, what I'm saying, it's a lot of people that I show like that energy. Oh no, yeah, I remember how things were back when I was, back when you thought I did that horrific thing, back when that rumor was going on about me. But it's a certain demographic of people on my campus that didn't know anything about that. They met the Fax.Koolaid from social media. They're inspired by what I say, and I'll be real to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that might be one of those things we talked about earlier where they just want to get on my good side, or they just. But either way, they haven't showed me any type of hate. So with me, I've noticed that time heals some wounds when it comes to me. So if that were to ever happen, depending on who's there, because you always gotta go through higher ups. Let's say it's the same higher ups from when I'm in school now. No, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But if it's new higher ups, at the end of the day, I don't let people pay for other people's past mistakes. So that would probably be a different thing, unfortunately. But I'm gonna make it known. Once upon a time, y'all wasn't supporting me like y'all should have. I'm for sure got to make that known. So, yeah. Thanks for painting the picture. It really got me thinking.
Listen, that's what I do. And I just want to say that what we really just did was just in case anybody want to mend the fences, okay? You said when you know what I'm saying? Like people listening, they know what's happening because like listen, you bring celebrities, you up there with the artists, you got the podcast, you got TikTok, you got artists calling in, you know what I'm saying? Like they you know what I'm saying? Like listen, like, you need to talk to this man. You know what I'm saying? Like talk to this man. Like at this point.
Still be playing on my top. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah. Like trust me, as someone that has dealt with elements of that in my time, and even just really outside of Fort Valley, I just in general, like in this career that I've had thus far, I totally get it. Trust me. But I think that this was an amazing conversation, and I think it ties back into the HBCU family element because one thing I always hated is when folks are like, "That's my brother, that's my sister," and even within student leadership, and I will say this publicly for the first time. In student leadership, when they're like, that's my brother king, that's my sister queen, or that's my brother, sister president, or sister organizational person, y'all are ascribing brother and sister, even mom and dad. Like they do, like that's my mother, that's my father. They ascribe that to people that didn't earn it. Because if you're my father, or you're my mother, or you're my brother or my sister, you earn that title. Like you earn that because my brother gonna know he my brother. Like, oh, well, I'm in this same position as this person, so this is my brother. Like, no, you gotta earn that. And a lot of them folks don't be earning that. They do a little bit worse when they're ascribed positions. And that's something that I always didn't like about HBCU life, and I did not like about student leadership, because you gotta prove that. But I think that's something that goes within the family element of everything we're talking about. Because if we're really an HBCU family, you gonna support your people. And you're not going to allow, I'm talking about not the generalized HBC family, but I'm talking about the campus family. Like you're going to make sure that people that are out there making it happen, that are doing good things, that you're going to make sure that they're good. And not because they're going to get popping and they might bring a celebrity to campus one day. I'm talking about, hey, that's the right thing to do. And that is our family. And we're here to nurture our people and go off, and they're going to be productive people and make things happen, because that's what we do at our HBCU. So we need to get the family together. You know what I'm saying? We ain't no family. We need the family together. You know what I mean? But I want to toss to you final thoughts, Fax.Koolaid, on anything we talked about, or to put this all together.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, when anybody wants to attack, you know, from the outside looking in, it's always good to know, you know, people are defending. They're doing basically what they have to do to uplift HBCUism. It's just on the inside. A lot of families need help on the inside. In the HBCU world, it's the same thing. Same thing.
So we're going to end there. Fax.Koolaid, of course, as always, it was amazing having you on. Where can we find you on social media, and how can we listen to your podcast?
The podcast is on YouTube, official.Fax.Koolaid. It's official.fax. That's how I spell my facts. Shout out to Fact3. Official.fax.Koolaid, Koolaid. And on every social media platform is just Fax.Koolaid. Again, fax.Koolaid.
I love it. I love it. You're listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.